Today we are going to study potential energy curve of the molecule. Let's say here is HCl molecule. The first question is that is this chemical bond is like a rigid rod, or is this chemical bond is just like a spring? This is a question. The answer is this one. The molecule is like a spring. And how do you prove that the molecule behaves like a spring? It is by spectroscopy. What's the difference between two models? In this model, the molecule cannot vibrate, but in this model, the molecule can vibrate because it is connected by spring. So for spectroscopy, you are going to irradiate molecule by light. Yeah. I'm going to irradiate infrared, and the detector is installed on the opposite side of the IR. And detector measures the amount of light that passed through the molecule. So as I change the frequency of light, I'm going to measure the intensity of light through the detector. So in other words, I'm going to take the measurement and put that data on the graph. Here, x-axis represents the frequency of light, and y-axis represents the intensity of light measured by detector. The results look like this. As you can see in the spectrum, at certain frequency, there's a strong absorption occurs. At this frequency, the strong absorption occurs at this frequency. This happens when the light of frequency equals the frequency of the vibration equals the frequency of light exactly matches the frequency of the molecule. Strong absorption occurs. This phenomenon is called resonance. When resonance occurs, the energy of light is effectively transferred to the light. So the intensity of light is suddenly decreased. So the IR spectrum provides the direct evidence that the molecule vibrates. So the molecule is connected by the spring. So now we know that the molecule is connected by spring, not by a rod. So using this information, we can map out the exact shape of the potential energy curve of the molecule. Now the spring is characterized by a force constant K. So given force constant K, we can express the potential energy of this molecule. Now the distance between two atoms is called R. And according to physics textbook, the potential energy expression looks like this. So when I draw this potential energy curve, the curve looks like this. Now, with this potential energy curve, I can define two important characteristics of this molecule. First one is definitely vibrational frequency. According to physics textbook, the vibrational frequency is given as following expression. So this is a formula for the vibrational frequency of this harmonic oscillator. So if we know the force constant of spring, we can calculate the vibrational frequency. So this is the vibrational frequency of this molecule. And we can also define bond length. This is called bond length. Bond length is defined as the distance where the potential is minimized. When the distance between two atoms r is larger than Re, the molecule feels attractive force. So the molecule tries to contract. When R is smaller than Re, the molecule feels repulsive force. The molecule tries to expand. When molecule is R equal Re, it is at equilibrium. It is stabilized. So we can define bond length Re. So with this potential energy curve, we can characterize vibrational frequency and bond length of the molecule. But there is another fundamental property that molecule has. First one is vibrational frequency, second one is bond length, and third one is bond energy. Or bond dissociation energy. For example, so HCl molecule, the bond dissociation energy is approximately 500 kJ per mole. It means that when we provide more than 500 kJ per mole to HCl molecule, the molecule are dissociating. The bond is broken. Mathematically speaking, when bond is broken, it means that R can go to infinity. But this harmonic oscillator model has a problem. In this model, R cannot go infinity for this harmonic oscillator model. Why? This harmonic oscillator model potential energy curve keeps rising to infinity. So this is total energy. Even if I provide more energy, it always turns back. So in this model, I cannot go infinity. Even if I increase the total energy, it always turns back. So with this model, we cannot explain the bond energy. So we need to modify the potential energy curve a little bit. So I'm going to modify potential energy of this one to explain bond dissociation energy. So modify potential energy curve looks like this. This potential energy curve has open-ended on the right side here. With this model, we can define the bond dissociation energy as the bottom to the flat tube. This is defined as the bond dissociation energy. I explain why this can be as defined as the bond dissociation energy. And this line as the dissociation. When molecule has lower molecular energy has low in this bond dissociation energy, then it behaves like just a harmonic oscillator. It continues to vibrate. When increase the vibration energy of the molecule, it behaves like a harmonic oscillator. but when the molecule has energy higher than the dissociation limit, the molecule follows the potential energy curve and go all the way to infinity. So when the molecule has energy higher than dissociation limit, it can go to R infinity. So the molecule can dissociate. So when the molecule has higher than the dE, the molecule can dissociate. So this can be defined as the bone dissociation energy or bone energy. So this is our potential energy curve for the molecule. So with this molecule, we can define bone length, bone dissociation energy, and with the curvature, we can define force constant. So I will compare two potential curves. This is first potential curve. Second potential curve. Both potential curve A, B has same bond length, right? And both potential curve has same bone dissociation energy. Then what's the difference? The difference is here. Curvature is different. So they have different force constant. As I said before, for harmonic oscillator model, in this model is 1/2A. So K reflects the curvature of this curve. When K increase, the potential shape of potential looks like this. Right? So the curvature depends on K, and K depends on vibrational frequency. So anyway, with this potential curve, we can define three important parameters: bond length and force constant. With force constant, we can determine vibrational frequency of the molecule. And thirdly, we can define bond dissociation energy. This is a very important concept. Now, I'm going to explain this potential energy curve from the standpoint of quantum chemistry. How quantum chemistry view this potential energy curve. Now, as you may learn, our technique example, hydrogen atom. As you know, according to quantum mechanics, hydrogen has atomic orbital, and the atomic orbital has quantized energy level. This is a very important result from quantum mechanics. Energy is quantized. Similarly, in chapter 6, we are going to study molecule. Molecule has also molecular orbital. Just like atom has atomic orbital, molecule has molecular orbital. And molecular orbital energy is also quantized. It has also quantized energy level. And electron is allocated, assigned. Similarly, HCl molecule has many electrons, so electron is assigned. Now, there's a big difference between atomic orbital and molecular orbital. For atomic orbital, the energy level is fixed. It does not change. But the molecular orbital energy level change because the molecule has R. R is the distance between two atoms. For example, this energy level is at R equal 1 angstrom. When R change, for example, when R change from 1 angstrom to 1.1 angstrom, the molecular orbital energy level change. Sometimes it decrease. So the molecular orbital energy change when R change from 1 angstrom to 1.1 angstrom. This orbital energy level also change. Sometimes it increase. Anyway, the important point is that the molecular orbital energy level depends on R. It is very important. But for atomic orbital, it is fixed. But molecular orbital, the molecular orbital energy depends on R. It is very, very important. But electron configuration does not change. So, with this configuration, I can draw this diagram. This is R. This is energy. So, for this case, when R equals 1 angstrom, I can calculate all the energy the electrons has. Then this electron has energy and orbital. When the orbital is given, orbital energy is given, and electronic configuration is given, I can calculate all the energy the electrons have. So, for example, the energy say is here, and I change from 1 angstrom to 1.1 angstrom. I can also calculate all the energy the electrons has. Now the total energy change because orbital energy change. The energy may be this one. Similarly, I change, total energy change. So I can connect all the points. Then the result looks like this. This curve is same as this one. This is the interpretation of quantum chemistry. So with this curve is given, I can define bond length, bond dissociation energy. Now, furthermore, this is the ground electronic configuration. Sometimes the electron may be excited to another orbital. So this electron excited to another orbital. Now electronic configuration is changed. So I can calculate all the energy the electrons has. Is changed because electronic configuration is changed. So the potential and total energy change. This one corresponds to the configuration, this configuration. But this energy corresponds to this configuration. This energy is different because 2 point corresponds to different electronic configuration. Similarly, this orbital energy must also change. So for this point, maybe different point. So when I connect all the points, you obtain another potential curve. So this potential curve corresponds to this electronic configuration. This potential curve corresponds to this electronic configuration. So for each configuration, we can draw another potential energy curve. So in this case, this electron is promoted to this orbital, but this electron can be promoted to this orbital. So you can draw another potential energy curve. So there is another potential curve. So you can draw infinite number of potential energy curve. Now this dotted line is called vacuum level. Sometimes the electron is promoted to vacuum level. This means that the ion the electron is removed from the nucleus. Now this molecule is ionized. The electron in this state does not experience attractive force from nucleus anymore. So this electron is ionized. So namely this molecule is cation. So anyway, with this configuration we can draw another potential curve. Now this potential curve is cation. These potential curves corresponds to neutral electron. Neutral molecules. With different configuration, but this potential curve corresponds to cation. But in this case, this electron is to promoted to vacuum, but sometimes this electron can be promoted to vacuum. This is also cation. You can draw potential energy curve for this configuration. So you can draw another cation potential curve. So you can also draw infinite number of cation. So in this way, you can draw infinite number of potential curve can be drawn. This is the interpretation of potential energy curve by quantum chemistry. Now, I'm going to take a closer look at this y-axis. What terms are included in this y-axis? This is the question. This one comes from the orbital energy, right? Now, this is atomic orbital. Atom consists of nucleus and electrons. Now, electron in 1s orbital. Do you remember the orbital energy of 1s orbital? It is equal to 13.6 electron volt. Now, what energy is included in 13.6 electron volt? The orbital energy of 1s orbital, you may remember that the energy is 13.6 electron volt. What terms are included in this orbital energy? First one is that the energy, first energy is the Coulomb energy, right? Between nucleus and electron. This energy is called Coulomb energy between nucleus and electrons. And the electron has kinetic energy. So, in this energy, orbital energy, two terms are included. Potential energy and electrokinetic energy are included in this orbital energy. And sometimes the atoms with many electrons, another electrons exist. Right? In this case, one more term is included. One more term is that two electrons repulsive force existed. So in this term, this called electron repulsion terms are also included here. So anyway, orbital energy include three terms: nucleus electron attractive energy, electron repulsion energy, and kinetic energy are included in the orbital energy. Similarly, for molecule, what energy are included in molecular orbital? Same. This is nucleus. This is electron. Similar to atom, there must be electron nucleus potential energy exists. So nucleus electron attractive energy exists, and there must be electron repulsion energy also exists for molecules. And electron has kinetic energy, same as electron. So the molecular orbital energy 3 terms, same as electrons, right? And I said before, how we do obtain this potential energy curve? We sum up all the orbital energy of the electron. So for y-axis has definitely have VNE, VE plus VKE must be included in this y-axis, right? And one more term must be included because one more term is there. This nucleus has repulsive energy. This term is called Vn and must be included here. This term is not in the molecular orbital energy. This molecular orbital has only include 3 terms. So to calculate E, total energy, we must include this 4th term. So this is the y-axis, has include 4 terms. So this is a potential energy curve of our system. Okay, this is very, very important concept in our course. Now let's move on another topic. Now we are going to study ionic bond. Ionic bonding is relatively easy to understand. For example, how NaCl compound is formed. It is definitely ionic bonding. This one comes from sodium Cl. As you know, sodium atom likes to lose electrons to become cation, while chlorine atom like to accept electrons. So these two ions, cation and negative anion, attract each other to form ionic bonding. So this is very, very simple. But in our textbook, very, very interesting compound, ionic bond, is introduced. The bond is Kf. In our textbook, this reaction is introduced. Why this reaction is interesting? Because this reaction proceeds far much faster than expected. Then, how do you estimate the reaction rate? This reaction is interesting because the reaction proceeds far much faster than had expected. Then, how do scientists estimate reaction rate is the first question. How do scientists estimate reaction rate? According to collision theory, for the reaction to occur, the atom or molecule must collide. So, reaction rate is proportional to collision rate. And furthermore, scientists believe that collision rate depends on atomic size. Why? Let's say left box, small atoms contains small atoms. On the right box, on the right box, large atoms are contained. Which box has high collision rate? Definitely, right box has high collision rate because atomic size is large, so they frequently collide with each other. So, atomic size reflects collision rate, and collision rate reflects reaction rate. Consequently, knowing atomic size, we can estimate reaction rate. So if only if you know the atomic size, you can estimate the reaction rate. So according to experimental result, the atomic size of potassium is known to 2.27 angstrom. Fluorine angstrom. So interatomic distance is approximately 3 angstrom. But when you measure the reaction rate of potassium fluorine, the reaction is much higher than the what was estimated on the basis of this atomic size. It was processed as if they were size of 6 angstrom. So this is the question. Why this reaction is why so fast compared to the atomic size? This is the question. So they analyze this is investigate this reaction. So for this reaction take place, we need 2 steps because this is ionic bonding reaction. 2 steps is required for this reaction to place. First reaction is that in first step, the sodium atom must lose electron. This is the first step. Second step, the fluorine atom must accept electrons to become anion. So in first step, how much energy is needed for this first step to proceed? This is ionization energy. The ionization energy is measured to be 419 kJ/mol. And for second step, how much energy is released? That's the electron affinity is equal to so potassium cation, for the formation of potassium cation, we need to input 419 kJ/mol. For the formation of fluorine anion, 328 kJ/mol of energy is released. So when you compare the energy of neutral atom with the energy of cation anion formation, this energy is higher than this one because ionization energy higher than the electron affinity. This is the energy needed for the formation. This is the energy released from the second reaction. This is higher than electron affinity. It means that this energy level is higher than this reactant. So when I draw this situation, this is the neutral state. This is the ionic state. This is higher than this one. How much energy is needed? This is ionization energy minus electron affinity. It is equal to 91 kJ/mol. But a key point is that this energy level refers to a state where the 2 ions are infinitely apart. This level refers to a state when the 2 ions are infinitely apart. But there are Coulomb energy exist between 2 ions. We can express the potential energy between 2 ions as a Coulomb energy. Coulomb energy may be expressed using this expression. So these 2 ions have potential energy. So when the distance between 2 ions is smaller, potential energy decreases. So this potential energy decreases, right? When R gets smaller. So this potential energy curve approximately expressed by using this expression. But when R gets smaller, the electron cloud of potassium and fluorine collide. So repulsion energy increase. So the potential energy looks like this. This equation only applies when potassium and fluorine ion are far apart, right? When the potassium ion and fluorine ion are far apart, they can be treated as a point charge. So their potential can be approximately expressed by using Coulomb potential. But they are close enough. Actually, they are not point charge. The electron clouds are surrounded by nucleus. So when they are close enough, the electron clouds are distorted. The electron clouds collide with each other. So the electron clouds repulse each other. So potential energy increases rapidly. So this is the potential curve for this ion. Similarly, this is neutral atom. There is also force between two neutral atoms. The force is called dispersion force or Van der Waals force. The Van der Waals force is much bigger than the ionic force. So the potential energy is almost flat, right? Almost flat. But similarly, when the neutral atoms get closer enough, the electron cloud collide with each other, so the potential energy increase. So the potential energy curve looks like this one. So this potential curve corresponds to the ion pair. This potential curve corresponds to the neutral state. So we draw two potential curves, right? But as I said before, given the molecule, I can draw infinite number of potential curves, right? But for KF in our textbook, only two potential curves are drawn. But actually, infinite number of curves can be drawn, right? But there are main differences. Yeah? In this potential curve, two curves are separate. They don't meet each other normally. But for KF, they meet each other. This is very, very interesting point. Normally, potential curve does not meet each other, normally. But in this case, two potential curves meet. This is a very, very important for KF systems. Anyway, now with this potential diagram, we can determine bond dissociation energy. How? As I said before, this is the potential energy curve. What is the bond dissociation energy? As I said before, this is the bond dissociation energy. Then, this is the potential energy curve. This is the K plus F minus. What is the bond dissociation energy of K plus F minus? From this one, you might say that this is the bond dissociation energy, but this is wrong because of this one. Why? Now molecule is in this state. Now provide energy, so energy is increased. So the molecule follows this potential energy curve. When you increase the potential energy, the molecule follows this potential curve. Here reaches this point, and I increase the energy. The molecule does not follow this curve. The molecule change the curve. Why? This state has lower energy than this one. Nature likes to lower energy state. So the molecule does not follow this curve, but this path. So when the molecule follows this path, it can go infinitely. So the molecule can dissociate. So we only need this energy for the molecule to be broken. So this is the bond dissociation energy of K plus F minus because of this point, curve crossing. So this is the interesting point. Then how do you calculate bond dissociation energy for this system? This one equal to subtract this one from this one is equal to bond dissociation energy. This one is equal to 91, which is equal to ionization energy minus electron affinity. So only if you know this length, you can calculate bond dissociation energy, right? But how do you determine this one? As I said before, this potential energy curve is approximately equal to this one, right? Now, what is the energy of this one? This one is equal to R equal infinity. When R equal infinity, the potential energy is 0, right? When you apply R equal infinity for this expression, the potential energy is 0. So, how do you determine this length? The bond length of this one, according to X-ray data, it is equal to 2.17 angstrom. So when you substitute 2.17 angstrom here, you can determine this energy. This energy equal to 640 kilojoule. So now this one is 640 kilojoule, and this one is 91 kilojoule, which is equal to ionization energy minus electron affinity. So you can determine dissociation energy, which is equal to 594 kilojoule. This is a theoretical prediction of bond dissociation energy of K plus F minus. This is a theoretical prediction, and according to experimental result, the value is actually 490 kilojoule. This is a theoretical, this is experiment. So there is approximately 10% error is occurred, but it gives a fairly good estimate. Then why there is a 10% error? This is the question. The first question is that, as I said before, the potential energy curve, this one, as expressed using this one, but this expression assumes that there is a point charge. This expression strictly applies to only point charge, but actually this is not point charge. This one is ion in the center nucleus, and the electron cloud is surrounded. So this is not actually point charge. When the ions are far apart, they can be approximated as point charge. But when they close enough, the electron clouds are distorted. So they cannot be treated anymore as a point charge. So this expression is not good when they are get closer. And secondly, as I said before, all bond ionic covalent. As I said before, last time, perfect ionic bond does not exist. All bond are mixture of ionic bond and covalent bond. A small bit of covalent character is included in the bond character. So this bond cannot be explained only ionic term. This bond has some kind of covalent character must be included. So there's these two facts cause 10% error. So, but now, why do we study this reaction? We investigate this reaction because this reaction so fast, right? Now I will going to explain why this reaction proceeds so fast. So I'm gonna draw this diagram again. this point is K plus F minus. Here K plus F. This is point where curve crossing occurs. Now this is neutral state. Now fluorine approaches potassium, right? But when potassium and fluorine are far apart, they are in neutral state. So they experience no force, almost no force, because they are neutral state. So fluorine approaches potassium with no force experienced. But what happens at this point? This is neutral state. And as I said before, at this point, they don't follow this path. They follow this path. Why? Because this path has lower energy. So at this point, curve crossing occurs. Now, prior to the right, neutral state, prior to the left, this is the ionic state. For on the right side, they are potassium, neutral potassium and fluorine. But on the left, they are potassium plus F minus. Then what happens at this point? At this point, electron is transferred to fluorine. Electron from the potassium transferred to the fluorine at this point. So they suddenly becomes ionic state, right? Prior to this point, they experience no force because they are neutral state. But after this point, they become cation and anion. There's a strong Coulomb force suddenly appears, right? They feel strong Coulomb force. They initiate collision, right? So this is almost 6 angstrom. It means that even when they close 6 angstrom, they feel strong force, right? Their atomic size is almost 3 angstrom. But when they approach 6 angstrom, electron transfer from potassium to fluorine, they feel strong force, they initiate collision and proceed reaction stage. So they explain why this reaction proceeds so fast, because of this curve crossing occurs at large distance, at 6 angstrom. So this mechanism is called Harper mechanism. Okay. Do you have any question about this? Anyway. Okay, see you next time.